He and I have a great relationship. I really value our relationship. And I think those things happen, not every game, but they happen very frequently. And, sometimes you have to.
That is either the most genuine statement a first-year head coach has ever made about a moment that consumed every sports platform in the country for 48 hours, or it is the most carefully constructed non-answer a first-year head coach has ever delivered in a press conference setting to make a story go away without actually addressing what happened. Jared Vanderbilt stood up and started dancing.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Not because the Lakers were winning, not because anyone scored, not because anything remotely celebratory happened in those 3 seconds on the sideline of Chase Center. He stood up and started moving his body and clapping his hands because he looked to his right and saw Luka Dončić spring off the bench with fire in his eyes pointed directly at his head coach. And Vanderbilt made the split-second decision that the most important thing he could do for the Los Angeles Lakers in that moment was become a human wall. The internet saw it, processed it in approximately 4 seconds, and then lost its mind completely. By midnight Saturday, the clip had millions of views. By Sunday morning, it was the lead story on every NBA platform in the country. By Monday, Redick was sitting in front of reporters before the Pelicans game, being asked to explain what happened between him and the best player on his team on the sideline of a blowout win. And what Redick said when he finally broke his silence is the thing that makes this story more interesting than a simple coach versus star conflict. More complicated, more revealing, and in its own way, more alarming for a Lakers organization that has spent this entire season trying to find an identity that the scoreboard keeps refusing to confirm. Let's build this exactly, because every detail of the sequence matters. February 28th, Lakers at Warriors, Chase Center. Los Angeles coming off 3 consecutive losses to the Celtics, the Magic, and the Suns. 5 losses in their last 7 games. A team that Charles Barkley had just called a tanking franchise on national television 2 days earlier. A team whose head coach had admitted after 57 games that he still did not know what his team's identity was. The Warriors were without Stephen Curry, without Kristaps Porzingis, without Jimmy Butler. The roster they put on the floor was essentially a G League team wearing Golden State jerseys. The Lakers needed this game the way a drowning team needs a life raft. And they got it. 129-101, a blowout from the opening tip. Luka Dončić with 26 points, 7 assists, and 6 rebounds. LeBron James with 22 points and 5 assists. Austin Reeves with 19. Everything was going right. The losing streak was over. The identity crisis was temporarily suspended. And then the cameras caught the sideline.
That's all I'm gonna do. The whole stadium's gonna hear you. Like, yell right now.
And then Rich Paul stepped in. Because Rich Paul always steps in. And what he said when the Redick-Luka clip was circulating everywhere was the most pointed public statement he has made about the Lakers' internal dynamics all season. In this moment right now, Luka Dončić is way better at his job than Redick is at his. Way better at his job, capital letters. No hedging, no diplomatic distance, no careful language designed to maintain relationships in a league where everyone knows everyone and words travel faster than the news cycle. Rich Paul looked at a clip of a first-year head coach reaching for the arm of the best player on the floor in a blowout win and said the man on the bench is performing at a higher level than the man on the sideline. Now here is why that statement is more explosive than it appears on the surface. Rich Paul is LeBron James's agent. He is one of the most powerful figures in the NBA ecosystem. When Rich Paul says something publicly about a Lakers coach, he is not speaking as a random observer. He is speaking as a man with direct access to the organizational conversations that happen behind closed doors. A man whose opinion carries weight in rooms that JJ Redick has to navigate every single day. And he said Luka is way better at his job than Redick is at his. In capital letters. On record.
Rehash them with a player or, as a teammate, sometimes it happens player to player. It's a competition. And, there's two guys here who, in this case, are trying to win a basketball game and be on the same page about stuff. And frankly, I talk about player-led teams all the time. I encourage guys talking to me or talking to our coaches and bringing stuff up and telling us what they need. I don't know why it went viral. It felt very normal to me.
I don't know why it went viral. It felt very normal to me. Define normal. Because from the angle the fan video captured it, normal involves a superstar shrugging off his coach's attempt to grab his arm. Normal involves the superstar springing off the bench when his coach walks away. Normal involves multiple teammates physically intervening to prevent whatever came next from happening on national television during a blowout win. That is not what most people would call normal. That is what competitive people call contained. Barely. After 57 games, after the Celtics, after the Magic, after the Suns, after Charles Barkley called them a tanking team, after Brian Windhorst pointed out that the Luka-LeBron Reeves trio produces minus 8.4 points per 100 possessions. After all of it, the head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers is describing himself and his franchise player as two guys trying to be on the same page about stuff. The same page conversation is supposed to happen in training camp, in the preseason, in the first month of the regular season, not in late February with the playoffs 6 weeks away, and the entire Western Conference bracket shifting with every game. Same page. In the blowout win against the Warriors without Curry, Porzingis, and Butler, JJ Redick before Lakers vs. Pelicans said, "I was talking to Luka about it. We were actually laughing about it. I was like, I didn't feel any tension." He was like, "Nah, I didn't care about it." They were laughing about it. Redick said so. And 2 nights later against the Pelicans, Luka was seen on the bench joking with Jared Vanderbilt and playfully referencing the moment that had sent the internet into a frenzy 48 hours earlier. Vanderbilt laughed. The whole bench laughed. The story appeared to be over before it fully began. But here is the thing about that laughter. Here is what the laughter cannot erase. Jared Vanderbilt stood up and started dancing. He did not do that because the situation was already fine. He did it because the situation was not fine and needed to become fine immediately before something worse happened in front of cameras that never stop rolling in a building that has been watching the Lakers' every move with the intensity of a franchise under a microscope. Players do not stand up and start dancing between their coach and their teammate because everything is normal. They do it because they are veteran professionals who understand that some conversations need walls around them before the walls stop being invisible. When asked about the Redick Dončić moment, a Lakers source dismissed any deeper meaning, telling ESPN, "Find me a star on a 3-game losing streak in the NBA that isn't frustrated." Find me a star that isn't frustrated. That is the most honest thing anyone connected to this situation said all week. Not Redick's very normal. Not Rich Paul's way better at his job. Not the internet's JJ Redick may not last long if Luka requests a trade. The unattributed team source who looked at the clip and said the obvious thing that the narrative machinery was trying to obscure. Luka Dončić had just lost 3 consecutive games to teams missing multiple starters, including the Suns without Booker and the Magic without half their rotation. He is averaging 32.7 points per game and carrying 30-plus minutes every night, while the team around him produces negative net ratings in its most important lineup combination. He is the best player in this organization. He is 25 years old. He is fiercely competitive. He was frustrated. Find me a star that isn't frustrated. Now here is what the very normal framing deliberately obscures. Because Redick's calm press conference answer and the laughter with Vanderbilt and the "we're on the same page" language are all doing a specific kind of work. They are managing a story. They are preventing a narrative from taking root that the organization desperately needs to not take root right now. The narrative is this: Luka Dončić is not happy. The relationship between the franchise's star and its first-year head coach has friction in it that goes beyond competitive passion. The friction has been visible in the post-game press conferences, where Luka takes accountability for losses that involved other people's mistakes. In the tunnel silence after the Suns game. In the "he told me to pass, I passed" moment after the Magic loss. And now on the sideline at Chase Center with Jared Vanderbilt standing up and starting to dance. Each individual moment has a clean explanation. The press conference accountability is leadership. The tunnel silence is processing a tough loss. The "he told me to pass" is a competitive player being honest about a miscommunication. The bench confrontation is two fiercely competitive people trying to be on the same page about stuff. But patterns do not ask for individual explanations. They ask for the honest answer to a simpler question. Is everything actually fine between Luka Dončić and the Los Angeles Lakers? Or is the laughter with Vanderbilt doing the same work that Vanderbilt's dancing did at Chase Center? Creating a barrier, making something that needs to stay contained look like something that was never a problem in the first place. JJ Redick said, "It's why I wanted to coach the Lakers. I wanted to be part of something that means something. The virality and the attention that comes with it is part of the deal. The reality is, everybody is going to always have an opinion. Since pro sports have existed, there's been sports talk, barbershops, chat rooms. Everybody's had an opinion. Now, everybody's opinion is more easily accessible. It's just more amplified now. But it's normal. It's why I wanted to coach the Lakers." That is the most revealing thing Redick said in the entire press conference. More revealing than very normal. More revealing than "I didn't feel any tension." More revealing than "we were laughing about it." JJ Redick chose this specifically. He chose the Lakers, knowing they are the most scrutinized franchise in basketball. Knowing every sideline interaction and every post-game quote and every lineup decision gets examined from 17 different angles simultaneously. Knowing that a 15-second fan video of a competitive exchange with his franchise player during a blowout win becomes the lead story on every major sports platform within hours. He chose it because he wanted to be part of something that means something. And the price of being part of something that means something in Los Angeles in 2026 is that very normal becomes a national headline. That Jared Vanderbilt dancing becomes a viral moment that Rich Paul responds to publicly. That the laughter between a head coach and his star player 2 days later has to be confirmed to reporters as evidence that everything is fine before reporters will move on. The Lakers are 37-24. They have won 3 straight. They beat the Warriors, the Kings, and the Pelicans. They are back to 5th in the Western Conference. The 3-game losing streak that produced the tanking accusation and the Adam Silver fine conversation and the Byron Scott "get the hell up out of here" moment is in the rearview mirror. Luka and Redick were laughing about it by Tuesday. Vanderbilt was joking about it on the bench by Wednesday. The story appeared to resolve itself within 72 hours of the clip going viral. Except, Rich Paul said Luka is way better at his job than Redick is at his. In capital letters. Without being asked. Without a reporter prompting it. Without the kind of context that softens a shot like that into something that can be explained away. That quote does not get said if everything is completely fine. That quote does not get published if the clip was truly nothing. That quote does not appear in the public record of this Lakers season if the relationship between this franchise's star and this franchise's first-year head coach is operating entirely without friction. JJ Redick said it felt very normal. Rich Paul said, way better at his job. Jared Vanderbilt started dancing. The playoffs are 6 weeks away, and the Western Conference is not going to ask for a press conference explanation of what happened on that sideline at Chase Center on February 28th. It is just going to send Oklahoma City and Denver and Houston to find out what happens when the pressure gets real and the dancing stops, and there is no one left to stand up between the frustration and the moment it finally boils over. Drop a comment right now. Do you think the Redick-Luka exchange was genuinely nothing, or is Rich Paul's response telling you everything you actually need to know about the relationship? And does Jared Vanderbilt deserve his own contract extension just for that piece of veteran intelligence on the sideline? Hit that like button, subscribe. The Lakers drama never sleeps, and neither do we.